Hello, my name is Mike Lively and welcome to my video on setting up an SVN for Flex. And if you want to visit this site, then go ahead and go to my link, which is livelyfbug.wordpress.com, setting up an SVN. And this is my users group site. We meet every other week and you're certainly welcome to come. Now, setting up an SVN is vitally important when it comes to building projects. So what is an SVN? What an SVN is kind of a central repository that everyone can feed into, change code, and version the system so you always know where you're at, as opposed to trying to transfer code back and forth between developers using sticks or CDs or the web. Well, you know, I've been doing this business for a long time, and I've seen it all. And if you take a bunch of developers that have been working in this business, you sit around a table, it's like a scene from Jaws. They will all tell you about their battle scars. And here's one of my SVN battle scars. I used to work at a bank that did major e-learning development, but they didn't use an SVN. And one day, one of the lead project developers said, "Hey, can you do A, B, and C?" I said, "Sure." But as I looked at it, I realized that B of A, B, and C would have erased all her work. So I didn't do B. Well, the next day, the developer sends out an email to 10 people saying that I had erased all her work. But I said that was impossible because I did not do B, which would have erased your work. And then she sputtered on a little bit. But here's the point. Get an SVN. Play smart, be nice, and don't give someone an ulcer because you won't take 15 minutes to set up an SVN, and that's about all it takes. I would say within 5 years, this bank had lost 1 man-year of time because they didn't have an SVN and had created a very stressful, poor work environment. Now I've given you 4 great links here: Tortoise, SVN hosting comparison, Cohesion, and a Flash magazine tutorial. Let's go to each one. Now I want you to install Tortoise. You won't use it in this video tutorial, but you will use it when you start working with HTML5. It's great. When you install Tortoise, what you'll be able to do is just go to a folder, right-click on it, go to Checkout, and actually put in the SVN address that you'll generate in your SVN, and download everything from the SVN. Isn't that super cool? The next link I've given you is the SVN hosting comparison chart. Really great chart. It's got tons of information on it. A lot more information than I can cover in this short session. But you can go through here and look at all the different types of SVNs that you can use. Very extremely useful chart. And if you don't know where to start, one good place is Cohesion. They have tons of video tutorials that will help you get going. If it turns out you don't want that service, you had learned enough to actually install your own service and move on from there. Here's the Cohesion site itself, and we'll go there today and we'll actually build a site. And finally, here's the Flash magazine tutorial, a super tutorial on setting up Flex 3. It's still good for Flex 4, except it's titled Flex 3. And I actually follow some of this in my demonstration. So we're back to the Flash Builder site. Now when you set up an SVN, there's actually 2 parts. There's the SVN hosting service, and then you have to set up Flash Builder so it actually talk to the SVN hosting service. I have several steps for you to follow in this blog post. Of course, first I want you to download Tortoise, of course. Go to the comparison chart and see which SVN is good for you. Then we're actually going to download Subeclipse and get that into Flex so you can actually talk to the SVN. Flex itself will not talk to an SVN hosting service. You need a plugin, and that plugin is Subeclipse. After you've installed Subeclipse, then we're going to set up our Flex repository. We're going to show you how to create a project and upload it, how to make changes to a project, and how to create a project from your SVN. Oh, all good things that you need to be able to do with an SVN. Now there's something very important I need to tell you here. When setting up Flex so it can talk to an SVN, you need a Subeclipse plugin. And if you're using Eclipse with the Flash Builder plugin, then you just go to the Help Software Updates menu. But if you're using Flash Builder and you're trying to install the Subeclipse plugin, you're going to have difficulty. You need to open it up as administrator. Let me show you what I mean. So open up Flash Builder. You go to Help, and as soon as you hit Install New Software, you get this message, must open as administrator. Now you don't get this in Eclipse with the Flash Builder plugin, but you get this in Flash Builder. So you need to go to where Flash Builder is installed, and you need to right click on the Flash Builder icon and go Run as Administrator. When you do that, up will come the menu items and you'll be able to install Subeclipse. At that point, just follow the steps in the blog post right here. Follow step 3, do all of this, and you'll have SubEclipse installed. Once you have SubEclipse installed, you'll be able to actually talk to the right perspective and create your SVN repository. Let me show you how to do that real quick. I'm going to open up Flex, and I'm going to go to the Flash perspective. So right now I'm in the Flash Builder perspective, and there's different perspectives in Flex. And if you want to go to different perspectives, just hit this little Open Perspective button, and I can go to Other, and go to SVN Repository Exploring. Hit OK. And at this point I can actually create a repository. Now the way you create a repository is look at this little button right here with the plus symbol. That's the SVN add. And go ahead and click on that. And when you do that, it's going to ask you for an SVN repository URL. Now you actually get that from your SVN repositories. So for this example, I'll get that from Codesion. So let's go to the Codesion site. And if I click on Projects, I have created 2 SVNs. I can grab either one of these addresses and download that to my Flex perspective. Now let me just say something real quick. This is really a very easy thing to do. Codesion has tons of videos to help you get started. It's just a great service. And here's a quick start wizard. So let's click on that and create a project. So I'll call this my new project. And it's checked to see if the name is available, and it isn't. So click on that. So click Next. I want Subversion. Click Next. I want the repository to have trunk, branch, and tags. So click Next. And I'm going to install Subversion Client. Done. And you can create a repository that simply. Isn't that fantastic? If I scroll down, there's my Subversion Client. And here's my URL. That's the one I want for the SVN. So let's grab that. Copy it. Go back to Flex. Paste that in for the URL. Hit Finish. Just wait a few moments. And your SVN created. And when I open that up, I see that I actually have the folder structure, branches, tags, and trunks. And I want to put my application in the trunk. So let me show you how to do that. So we're going to go back to the Flex perspective. We're actually going to right-click and create a project. Create New, Flex, and we'll call this Test Project. Hit Next, and we'll hit Finish. In this case, I've created a project, and now I need to connect that project to my SVN. So I'm going to right-click on that project. I'm going to go to Team and go to Share Project. Click on SVN, click Next, and choose the SVN that you want to go to. And here it's already selected, so hit Next. I could actually have several SVNs. Now I want to put it in the trunk, so I'm going to go Use Specific Folder Name. I'm going to browse to my trunk, hit OK. And I want to put the name of the project. In this case, it was called Test Project. Hit Next. And you can actually put a comment in here, my test project. And you always want to make sure you put comments in, because sometimes you need to dial back and you want to see what you did in the past, because you always forget what you did. Hit Finish. It's actually setting up and getting ready to import the projects to the SVN. And you can see you have the opportunity now to add more comments if you want. And all the files that you can import to that SVN are actually listed with a checkbox. You can decide which ones you want to shoot over to your SVNs and which one you don't. And you're like, okay, we'll go ahead and send them all over there. And now all the projects are being sent over to the SVN. Now you'll notice immediately that a little icon appeared here. It's like a SVN icon that shows you that your project is now connected to the SVN. Let's go back to the SVN perspective. SVN Repository Exploring. Hit OK. And you can see if I open up Trunk, I actually don't see anything. So at this point, let's right-click and refresh. And there's my test project. And in my test project are all my files that I had created in the Flex application. Well, I see we've run out of time for this video segment, so we'll continue this in part 2 of setting up an SVN for Flex.